Hello and welcome to Frogboy X1 Gaming. This is Andrew, and tonight I wanted to try something new and go live and have a chat about next gen systems, news, rumors, anything you want to talk about, and where we're see where things go. So, so basically, let's start off with some with some of my feelings, at the beginning of this generation. So we're about 6 months in now, almost 7 months in actually, and the first true next gen experience that I believe we are going to get is going to be Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I feel like we haven't really seen anything truly next gen yet, because most of the stuff is either available on last gen consoles or they're remakes or remasters from consoles before that, like the PlayStation 3, like Demon Souls, definitely a remake or a remaster. Let's talk about the performance and our expectations about the performance of these next gen consoles and what we should expect out of the from these next gen experiences. Um, so let's take Xbox Series X first, okay? Because it's the underdog, obviously, in this generation. PlayStation 5 is leading the market in console sales, video game sales, um, AAA quality game sales. So if we have Xbox, okay, it comes out, it's the Xbox Series X, it's their top of the line, and their Series S. The Xbox Series X is the top of the line console, and it's supposed to do um, 4K 120 frames a second. And you got PlayStation 5 also supposed to do 4K at 120 frames a second. That's what's advertised on both these boxes. Okay. Is it unfair? Do you think it's unrealistic for us to expect a minimum of 4K 60 frames a second to be able to call that game next gen? I mean, if we look back to last generation, okay, we had the Xbox One X, and that delivered pretty fair amount of 4K 30 games. Okay, I mean we were getting pretty good 4K 30 games with consistent um, with consistent performance, at 30 frames a second. I mean, it was pretty good, for the most part. We were getting, 4K 30. Some games were doing a 4K 60. So, if we look at that, and that was the top of the line console last generation, the most power you could get in a console last generation was the Xbox One X. The PlayStation 4 wasn't very far behind it. Most of the first party Sony games were doing, we're able to hit that, that checkerboard, 4K upscaled 4K 30 FPS, 30 FPS performance. I mean, it was good. Like, there's no denying that Sony first party games last generation looked just as good and performed just as well as most of the stuff on the Xbox One X. Like, there's no question about that. So for games to come out this new generation at 4K 30, is that really considered a next gen experience if they're 4K 30, or I mean, even under that, if they're under, 4K at all? I mean, can we really consider that game a next gen experience? Like with Ratchet and Clank coming out, I'm pretty sure I heard that this game was going to run at 4K 30 or 1080p, 1440p, 60 frames a second. So if that's the case, let's say if that's the case, is if Ratchet and Clank is running at 1080p upscaled to like 1440p or something, because I know that's not going to come out at 1080p. That's just they're not going to do that. It'll be a higher resolution, upscaled resolution. If that's all the PlayStation, I want to believe the PlayStation 5 can do better than that. I do. I honestly want to believe the PlayStation 5 can do better than 1080p 60 or 4K 30. I was getting that on my Xbox One X, and it is older technology and less power. So I don't believe that with the PlayStation 5 we should be seeing 4K 30 as a what do they call that again? Cinematic mode now. Now it's cinematic mode. I want to believe that these consoles are going to do better. I mean, it is still early in the generation. We're only 6 months into this generation, so I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we're definitely going to see stuff a lot nicer toward the end of the generation, but right now, I don't know. I like that's my thing. I'm having trouble believing that 4K 30 is the best we're going to get out of the PlayStation 5. Like that, I mean, Demon Souls, it is what it is because that was a remaster or a remake of a PlayStation 3 game, and for that to only be able to perform, I mean, you got to understand that Demon Souls is high fidelity visuals, but then you've got Godfall. It's the same thing, 4K 30. You've got Miles Morales, the 4K 30 with ray tracing. I don't want them to use ray tracing as a crutch to give us a 4K 30 experience all the time. I mean, if they are going to do that and it's going to be a 4K 30 with ray tracing, so be it. Give me my 4K 30 with ray tracing and then give me my 4K 60 without ray tracing. I don't want 1440p 60. I want 4K 60. I mean, the boxes clearly say they can do 4K 120. So, I mean, the only games that we've seen that are doing that 4K 120, I think, what was it, like Call of Duty? Call of Duty's doing 4K 120. You got, I know Ori and the Will of Wisp was doing like 6K 120 on the Xbox. But I mean, that's a 2D platformer game. I mean, yeah, of course it should be able to run that easily. Dirt 5, that one can do 1440p 120. So I feel like we should be able to get this is my honest opinion. This is the way I feel. I feel like it should be 4K, high fidelity 4K at 60 frames per second. Without ray tracing, because I would much rather have ray trace shadows and light than reflections. I mean, reflections are nice. They are pretty cool. They look really cool. But until we get technologies like DirectML or Fidelity FX that will AI upscale, I mean, like, I'm perfectly okay if these games don't have to be native 4K. They can be upscaled, with AI or checkerboard or whatever. I mean, as long as they're 4K with high fidelity at 60 frames a second, I think that's acceptable as a next-gen experience. I do. I feel like that is definitely acceptable. What I don't think acceptable is 4K 30, because we were already getting that last generation. That's a last-gen feature, if you ask me. I would prefer like I do. I mean, like we're starting to we're actually starting to see these games with higher fidelity now. Like Resident Evil 7 looks amazing. Like that game looks so freaking good. I cannot believe how good that game looks. I mean, it's exactly what I wanted to see going forward with this generation. I want to see really really dense 4K high fidelity visuals at 60 frames a second. I mean, these consoles should be able to do that, and they should be able to do that without it only being first party studios. You know, like Sony first party are going to be great. Like I have no doubt that Sony first party games are going to look amazing, and they're gonna play amazing. But I mean, so far, like Spider-Man Miles Morales, that game is pretty good. But if you look back, I mean, it's the exact same map that was in the PlayStation 4 version, so they didn't add any extra they didn't add anything else to that. I mean, they did change the whole the aesthetic of it by doing the wintertime and the snow and stuff like that. They added a lot more pedestrians, they added a lot more cars. I mean, it's definitely more dense and packed, and it definitely looks great. But yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see more of that. I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or not Odyssey, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the first game that came out. Well, no, it was that and Dirt 5 that I was playing like right when I got my Series X. And the density of the stuff on Assassin's Creed Valhalla was like, whoa, there's definitely a lot more vegetation. The dirt textures look a lot better. The the character model is way better than it was on, the last gen consoles. Everything just kind of, I mean, it definitely, you can tell it was a cross-gen game because, I mean, I was playing it on the One X before that, and it still looked pretty decent on that. But you can definitely tell just by the 60 frames a second that game was playing at when it first came out was night and day. To be able to play a game like Assassin's Creed with those big open worlds with that, I mean, that was pretty nice. That's pretty nice, and I look forward to that. But I feel like a lot of us are downplaying the experience because the games are still basically cross-gen. I mean, I do give it to Sony for at least putting out games that are only available on the PlayStation 5. But some of these experiences, calling them next-gen experiences and charging full price for them, like Returnal, I don't know. Like I'm not happy with the game, the way that game looks visually, just because I mean those are pretty small areas when you're in them. I feel like they could look a lot better. And they say the game is procedurally generated, but once you play that game for 5 hours, you've seen every area in that biome that's going to be like swapped out and changed throughout your playthrough. Like it's not completely 100%. I mean, every single one of those spaces are designed. They're pre-designed, and then they fit together. It just shuffles them around. It doesn't. They're not procedurally generated. They don't change anything. The layout and everything stays the same the farther you go. Um, I guess there's a rumor right now going around that the next God of War is going to be next gen only. So this is how I feel about that. I feel like if it's coming out this year, it will be cross gen. If it comes out next year, there is a really good chance that will be next gen only. I'm I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we're going to get that. I feel like we're going to get that God of War this year, though. I feel like Sony's second half is where they're going to really start dropping games. By that time, they'll feel like they have enough PS5s out there to be able to sell more copies of these games, and a lot of these games are going to be system sellers, so they really do need to get more consoles out there. I mean, if you're one of the five that actually have a PS5, I salute you. Welcome to the club, all five of us. I don't know. I mean, they say they're outselling the Xbox Series X 2-1. I mean, right now that sounds I mean, I'm pretty sure PlayStation 5 had a better jump on creating these because they're that chip, that APU in the PlayStation 5 was probably already designed far before that, and I don't necessarily think it's 100% RDNA 2. So it was probably easier to get that manufacturing up and going and to produce more wafers to get out onto the market faster. But Microsoft does have the Xbox One Series X and the Series S that they're building at the same time. I don't know if I mean I don't know if I really I mean it might be the case they're outselling the Xbox Series X 2-1, but I think if you add the Series S in there, I'm thinking the numbers are a lot closer this generation than they were last generation, because you can't discount the Xbox Series S model because it does play next gen games. So you are getting on a 1080p TV, you are getting a next gen experience minus the HDMI because, or not HDMI, but HDR, because I don't really know of any 1080p TVs that have an HDR. Anything anybody wants to add to this? Any questions? Any thoughts, concerns, comments? I'd be glad to answer some, or like that'd be awesome. Talk through them. So I did put a request in for some review code for what was it? Sniper Warrior 2 and Sniper Warrior Contracts 2 and Biomutant for PlayStation 5. I'll know on the PlayStation 5 version, or not PlayStation 5, but PlayStation 4. I'll know that information by Monday, because that's when they're supposed to send it out. I emailed back with the guy and stuff. I don't really have enough subscribers on YouTube to qualify for that code, but I do have enough subscribers or followers on Twitter to qualify for it. So I'm hoping that it works out and I get to review that on the PlayStation 5, because I bought the Xbox version, so I'm going to review it either way. But it would be nice to be able to let people know exactly what they can expect when they get the PlayStation 4 version for their PlayStation 5. Yeah, that Biomutant thing. Let's talk about that for a minute. So a lot of people are pretty upset that the PlayStation 5 version is going to come out at 1080p upscaled to 4K at 60 frames a second. That basically has to do with the it's not hardware limitations as in the PlayStation 5 can't do it. It's hardware limitations as in the case that if they turn that switch on, then that breaks the game on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro. The PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro are not going to be able to run that game with the native resolution because it would be way too taxing on those systems. And in order to get that to run on the PlayStation 5, it has to be turned on the PlayStation 4 code so that it will work. In Xbox, they can write different lines of code for each system. On the PlayStation 5, it's different. It has to have a native version. So basically, is what you're getting when you get that Biomutant on the PlayStation 4 and you play it on your PlayStation 5 is the full power of your PlayStation 5 pushing Biomutant upscale resolution as far as it can go, like to 4K. So like it's going to push it. The power of the PlayStation 5 is going to push this game to upscaled 4K at 60 frames a second. I mean, you're going to get a smooth experience by playing this, and then when the PlayStation 5 version does drop, then you'll be able to upgrade that, and hopefully your save will migrate without a headache. Oh my gosh, that is probably one of the most frustrating things out of this generation to date. You got to give Microsoft props for some of this stuff because they're a software company too. So designing things like that to work for the PlayStation for the Xbox Series X and S, to be able to transfer your save seamlessly, to be able to upgrade your games seamlessly, or not even have to, you don't even have to pick the version. It just downloads whatever version you're going to play on your Xbox. Um, that's not completely the case, because there are some games that you have to either buy the Xbox One version or the Series X code. I've noticed that, there'll be two different versions in the store when you buy it. So if you're going to buy, so you kind of got to be careful to buy the one that's actually right at the time, because I have noticed that, and I know that with PlayStation, I mean, it kind of sucks, because I know there's a lot of developers out there that want to upgrade the games. They want to do next gen ports and stuff, but it's so much more work on the PlayStation side that they either want to charge for that extra work, because they got to pay the staff to do that, to create that native version for the PlayStation 5. So they have to charge us like $10 or $20 to upgrade that, even if we're on Xbox and it's easy for them to just change it. You take Control, and the only reason I say that is because I had a long talk with the community manager for Control Remedy about the PlayStation 5 version, or the PlayStation 5 next gen version of Control. And the reason, I mean they even stated this. There's interviews out there that say that, look, we decided to charge for the next gen version because it wouldn't be fair to other systems that we had to charge for one and not all of them. And then when I asked him, I was like, so is Control running in parity with the PlayStation 5 version, the Xbox version? And he's like, yeah. And they did that so that, they designed it for the PlayStation 5, but then ported the code to the Xbox. That's why when we got the Xbox version, it was kind of screwed up. But I can say that it is fixed now. I mean, it definitely runs smooth and it works really good. And then you saw the video from Digital Foundry talking about how, if they go into the camera mode, then the FPS counter is a lot more off, and it goes. And the Xbox Series X version looks like it can push a higher frame rate, which, like, that game is really smooth on the 60 frames a second. I booted that up and replayed. I played through that game like 3 times now. Like, Control Remedy is one of my favorite games of last generation, and it looks even better this generation. I mean, the ray tracing on that looks actually really good, as it does on Watch Dogs. I mean, Watch Dogs Legion, that game with the ray tracing, that looks actually pretty freaking good. And we're going to be getting a 60 frames a second update for that on June 1st, which I'm really looking forward to. I really hope we don't have to lose a lot of the resolution on that, because that's going to be, oh boy, that's going to be a little rough if it has to go down. I would rather them just take out the ray tracing and put in screen space reflections for that, and let us be able to still keep the resolution high with the 60 frames a second. If we go to E3 this year, and because there's a lot of stuff I want to see, that I've been thinking about, that's coming out. And I mean, like, we know about some stuff that they're obviously going to show, some more Horizon Forbidden West. We know they might actually do a God of War, reveal. Microsoft's probably going to reveal Forza Horizon 5 and maybe a couple other projects, maybe even small ones. They might give us an update on Hellblade 2. But it's the third-party developers that are really going to be bringing out some new stuff that, like we have Ubisoft. They've been working on projects. Maybe we'll get an update to Riders Republic. I really want that game so bad. I am so looking forward to that. Far Cry 6. I do, maybe, if they do. Okay, so think about it. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart comes out on the 10th, right? So the E3 shows start on June 12th. So either PlayStation is going to do an event right before Ratchet and Clank launches, to kind of like pump up the hype like really good. I kind of feel like they're going to do that. Well, let me see. What's the 10th? What day is the 10th? Is it the 10th is on they might. That's a Thursday. They might actually do a state of play that day or Wednesday. That might actually be that would be strategic value for them to do that show right as Ratchet and Clank is launching. Because if you think about it, Ratchet and Clank seriously is the first real next gen game that's going to be launched. Everything else before that is either a remake or Returnal. Like that didn't really hit the spot. But I really do. I think the PlayStation is going to do either right before or right after, or during E3. They are going to do one. They did it last year during E3. They did that state of play. They did that state of play while E3 was going on. So yeah, they're definitely going to do one. I just don't know if it's going to be before Ratchet and Clank or after. It's going to be within that week though, for sure. So I'm going to put my money on Wednesday because that's usually when they do those. Either Wednesday the 9th or the 16th. That would be where I would be at. Like E3 is going to be pretty exciting this year because a lot of projects got pushed back because of COVID last year, so a lot of things didn't get announced. And I kind of have a funny feeling that Battlefield 6 is being announced in June. Battlefield 6 is probably going to be announced at the Xbox show. Maybe the PlayStation one, but I'm thinking the Xbox, seeing as Xbox and PlayStation already have or Xbox and EA already have kind of like a thing, with EA Play and stuff being on Game Pass. So I'm wondering if like some part of Battlefield 6 is going to be in Game Pass, or not Game Pass, but EA Play. If they do EA Play, then there's a way they can put it on PlayStation as well, because PlayStation does have access to get EA Play as well. If they don't, if they do like a Game Pass thing, I mean, like it's possible. It's definitely possible, but I feel like it's going to be announced, and some part of that game, either all of it or some of it, is going to be free on the subscription service, either PlayStation or either EA Play or Xbox. I don't think they would do it with PS Plus, but I'm pretty sure Sony's going to be doing something with PS Plus pretty soon. They have to. There's no way they cannot do. Especially if Ratchet and Clank comes out and it's not like a major hit. I mean, I'm pretty sure it will be. I mean, this is Insomniac, and Ratchet and Clank is very popular still. I mean, I feel like I'm getting a little bit too old to keep playing Ratchet and Clank, but I'm definitely going to buy it because I want to see the new visuals and everything. Because those guys are amazing. They have always produced some really top-notch visuals, so I definitely want to see this. Because technically, this is going to be the first next-gen game. So I want to see it. I want to play it. For Xbox, for Switch, too, we've got Switch. We're probably going to get – they're probably going to announce that Switch Pro. I don't see that not being a thing going forward. And if it really does have all the rumored, like the LED screen or the OLED screen with NVIDIA, DLSS technology to be able to. What I really think they should do, though, is yes, make that new handheld model, but also have a dock that can upscale, with its own processor, own chip, and everything that can upscale to a 4K TV, because I think that would be more robust I mean, it would definitely be more expensive. It probably would be, like $400, but people would pay that. I would pay that to play the new Breath of the Wild 2 in a 4K with higher fidelity visuals and stuff. Yeah, I would definitely pay that. I'd pay $400 for that, no problem. I love that Breath of the Wild game. That was so fun. Um, so yeah, I can definitely. I'm pretty sure Nintendo is going to be bringing some fire this year too, for sure. We're going to see some nice stuff. They might do PSVR 2 next month. I mean, I know they're working on it. They've already revealed the controllers. We've already gotten information of the screen resolution, being up to 4K and stuff, or 2044p per eye. So if they reveal PSVR 2, I'm pretty sure they would probably reveal that side by side with the PS5 Pro. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the PlayStation 5 is weak. I'm just saying that I think this was already planned. PS4 Pro did really well, and they already got that moniker, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, PS5 Pro. It's going to be a thing. Like, there's no reason to leave that money on the table or to leave that. I don't see PlayStation leaving that now that they actually have established the PS4 Pro and it's been out for so long. I definitely think the PS5 Pro is going to be a thing. I thought they were going to come out together. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the PSVR is definitely going to work on this, but I think the screen resolution, if it's playing on this, is going to be more like 1440p, whereas you guys remember back when we were hearing about, before PlayStation 5 even announced the specs, the 13.3 teraflop. I think that was the Pro model because they benchmarked both of them. They were showing benchmarks for the 9.2 and the 13.3 at the same time. I think is what happened is the PlayStation 5 Pro model was more expensive to manufacture, so Sony would have had to take in a bigger loss to put it out. But when they do bring it out, I think it's going to be like $599, $599 maybe. It depends. I mean, if it comes out with the same amount of storage that this is, yeah, it'll probably be $599. If they boost the storage more to like 2 terabytes or something, then I could see it being, like $699. I mean, Sony's not scared to up the price a little bit, especially with scalpers out there and people buying them for $1,000 anyways. Why wouldn't they just charge you $700 for one, with 2 terabytes of storage in it? That's what I think. That's kind of my thought, because there's no reason that they would be benchmarking that if it wasn't a thing, and I mean, they could have just, doubled up the power. I don't think it's double up the power, but 13.3 teraflops would be the base clock, because the PlayStation 5 was probably just going to launch at 9.2. But then after Microsoft announced that it was 12.2 teraflops, they decided to boost it or something. I don't know. Maybe it was always designed like that, and maybe because I am just speculating, based on, just precedent, I mean, I don't see why they would leave that moniker on the floor and not bring another PlayStation 5 Pro to the scene. I mean, Xbox has doubled down. I don't think Microsoft is going to bring out a new beefy console. I don't. I think that they brought out the Series S and the Series X, and they're going to rely on the direct ML and Fidelity FX to increase the visual resolution while giving us the performance still, and that's going to do pretty good. Whereas PlayStation is going to go, for 13.3 teraflops, build on the same architecture that they still have in the PlayStation 5, because that chip and that technology is cheaper for them to do. I don't think they're going to revamp it and make it, RDNA 2, all RDNA 2 like Xbox Series X, because then it wouldn't be compatible with what they got going on with the PlayStation 5 already. So I think the PlayStation 5 Pro will be like 13.3 teraflops, but it might have a boost mode too, so it might go up to like 16 or whatever. But with that technology, like Microsoft's DirectML, the the upscaling that we saw with the Forza Horizon 3, that looks pretty freaking good. And DLSS, I mean, you can get 4K, a 4K image that looks better than native 4K at way less processing power. So if they got something that'll match that, like we're going to be fine. Like either way, we're going to have high fidelity visuals this generation, and pretty good games that are going to take advantage of the new consoles. Like I'm pretty excited for this generation. I mean that, and that's just part of it. You get to this point right here where it's like the drought has been so long this time. It's never been this long before with any consoles. I mean, when we got PlayStation 4, when PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launched, we had some okay titles at the first, but just a few months after that, we were getting, Drive Club came out. We got Watch Dogs. We started getting more titles, pretty quick. This has been the slowest drought that I've ever experienced in my life when it comes to video games. And I've been playing since the regular Nintendo, the NES. I mean, this is pretty bad for a drought. Yeah, PlayStation 5's got some stuff out there, but like I said, I've had my PlayStation for 2.5 months, and I'm already like, I've already gotten through most of everything that. I mean, I haven't completed Demon's Souls yet because that game's just hard, and you got to be in a good mood or in that kind of mood to play it. But I've already basically hit my max at what I want to play on the PlayStation 5 right now until Ratchet and Clank comes out. And if Ratchet and Clank is anything like the last one, gosh, what is that? 12 hours? Maybe a little more. So 12 hours. I'll be playing the PlayStation 5 for about 12 hours in 20 days. I mean, yeah, I'm going to take my time with it and play it as long as I can, and try to get the most out of it. But oh man, I don't know. I'm hoping that the Ratchet and Clank game is probably like 20 hours. That'd be awesome. 20 hours would be sufficient for a game like that. I don't know. I haven't really watched a whole lot on it. I mean, I've seen a little bit, but I try to avoid, spoilers and stuff like that, so that when I experience the game, like when I see the new environments and stuff, that I'm like, whoa, yeah, that looks really good and stuff. So I've basically tried to avoid mostly everything that I can see on that, except for, what they showed, everything they showed at the state of play, and then like a couple more things lately. That's basically all I've really seen. So hopefully there's more worlds than what they showed in that, because I mean, if we're only going to like 3 or 4 worlds, that's going to get old pretty quick. What do you guys expect in the next gen to be like? What do you want to see? What do you want to see performance wise? What do you want to see visual wise out of these new consoles? Oh. I mean, how's your hype level for PSVR 2? I mean, I'm pretty hyped for it. I mean, I have PSVR, and Beat Saber is amazing. That one game that came with it, what was it, Blood, that Mafia game, that was pretty cool. I bought a whole bunch of these VR games when I first got it. I bought like 20 of them, and there was maybe 5 that were worth playing. But I am pretty excited. I'm excited for the PSVR 2 simply because I'm pretty sure Gran Turismo 7 is going to support it. So, I mean, if that's the case, then I'm probably I'm going to buy it and try to play that. I want to play that. I want to see something, because, gosh, playing Gran Turismo Sport made me so dizzy. Playing Dirt Rally in VR makes me dizzy. I want to be able to play other games in VR, like racing games. I want to do that, but I don't want to go buy a super expensive PC to do that. Yeah, Final Fantasy, Althea. Yeah, I do want to play both. I do want to play those games. Babylon's Fall, which was supposed to be like 29. Yeah. What do you think of Scarlet Nexus? Is that something that you would like? Oh yeah, Forspoken. That's definitely that Scarlet Nexus. I played that demo on the Xbox today, and it it doesn't feel like Code Vein. Like Code Vein was more of that Dark Souls. Scarlet Nexus feels more like it's not like, I mean, it is JRPG, but it's not turn-based JRPG. But it feels more like the Final Fantasy VII remake, the combat and stuff. And then you can like oh my gosh, the combat's so freaking cool in this Scarlet Nexus. Did you play that, or are you on PlayStation 5? Because I think that demo was for PC and Xbox today. But that Scarlet Nexus, oh my gosh, that game. I mean, I'm not like blown away by the visuals because it's that cell shaded look, and I've never really been into that. I mean, I like it. It looks kind of cool, but I've never really been into it. Yeah, it's good, huh? Yeah, like Astral Chain. So, yep. Much flashier thanks to yes, it definitely felt good. Like I love the combat in that. Like I thought that was so freaking good that I'm like, yeah, dude, I can't wait to play this because um after playing gosh dang it, Nair Replicant the other day or like a couple weeks ago, yeah, I'm hooked on that. I want to keep experiencing that type of gameplay. I am so happy that we're starting to finally get more Japanese support on the Xbox. Like that has been really nice. Um, what about Fantasy Star Online 2? That Xbox Series X version is supposed to be coming out soon. You interested in that? That's supposed to be pretty good. That MMO. Do you play MMOs? Not really. Yeah. I play Black Desert Online. That keeps me pretty busy. I usually play that a couple times a week with my guild. I like that game. And see, Black Desert Online though is something that you can play completely single player. There's so much content in that game; it's not even funny. You pick your class. You can change classes, and they've added so much, and the upgraded visuals and stuff. Since the Xbox Series X came out, because it used to be basically unplayable, but now it's really good. Yeah, yeah. Gosh, I have that problem too with some games. Are you into big open world games like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that? Like, can you play those ones through pretty good? I downloaded that Final Fantasy 15, the PlayStation 5 version, the other day, and I looked at that and I was like, no, no. I wasn't feeling that one. But I'm gonna be getting that. I'm gonna download that Final Fantasy 7 remake again and play that. Oh boy, that's gonna look good. And then watch, they'll bring it out on Xbox that day too. You know what I mean? And then I'll have to. Well, I won't have to decide because I already have the PlayStation 5 version, so I'll just buy it on Xbox too and play that again on both of them. That's gonna be fun. I buy a lot of games. I waste so much money on games. It's not even funny. I have the biggest backlog in the world, but I feel like only certain games get that. Like I can play certain games for like hours. I can buy a game and I can play some of them, but then some games I'm just sitting here on like Saturday morning and bored. Yes. So have you already played the Final Fantasy remake though? It's about it's about 27 hours long. maybe faster if you just go through and do all the story content. It it's good. I liked it. I like it. I like it a lot. I thought it was great. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of cool. If you buy it, then you get the upgrade. But if you download it off PS Plus, then nope, you don't get the upgrade, which I think is stupid. If they're going to give you a game, I don't understand that. Like they're giving out, like they'll put those games on like PS Plus and stuff, or not PS Plus, but PS Now and PS Plus and stuff. But then like, oh no, we're not going to give you the upgrade. I mean, Wreckfest, Wreckfest is pretty cool. We got the PS5 version a month early, so I was like, heck yeah, I was going to buy it and do a comparison video and yeah, I got that one for free just off the PS Plus, so that's cool. So I bought all the DLC for it though, because I was going to buy the game anyways, and I wanted to support that developer because they've been really good. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that Final Fantasy VII Remake is eventually going to come to Xbox and PC. I just the integrate DLC part that comes with it, Sony only has a 6 month exclusive on that. So I don't know if it's extending that. I don't know if it's extending it 6 more months after that comes out for the whole game, or just that part of it. Like I don't. I mean, I could see it going 2 years because by that point it probably will be about 2 years by the time it comes out. 6 more months, so December, so they could possibly get the Xbox version out in December. I don't understand why Square Enix would want to cut out. I mean, especially with the relationship that Square Enix has been building with Xbox lately. I mean, putting Outriders into Game Pass day one. All the other Final Fantasies and stuff have been coming to Game Pass. I'm pretty sure it's eventually going to come to Xbox. I just don't know when. It sounds like Final Fantasy 16 has about a year of exclusive. I'm going to buy that day one on PlayStation 5. I don't even care. I want to play it. I'm going to buy it. Um, maybe I'll buy the Xbox version later when it does come out, but for right now, oh, I don't know. I mean, those Final Fantasy games I usually only play one time, so it'd be kind of pointless for me to buy a second copy later down the road. Unless it was like completely overhauled and looked way, way, way better, then I might want to go through it again. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna treat that one as a PlayStation exclusive and just buy it there. Just keep all just keep all my, you know, Final Fantasy games basically on PlayStation. That way it gives me a reason to play it more. So that's not bad. Oh gosh, what was that other one? It's supposed to. I think the Capcom is probably going to have some stuff. Konami was supposed to be coming to E3 this year too, but then they backed out of it. I wonder if they were going to be doing something with PlayStation or Xbox with like Castlevania or Metal Gear Solid, or even if they just gave us remakes of some of these games. Gosh, I'd be happy with remakes. Definitely want Sony to bring out a SOCOM. Hear that, Sony? Another SOCOM. That'd be awesome. Even if it's just the first three games remade by Blue Point the same way they did Demon Souls, I'd be happy with that. And I would pay you whatever it costs to buy those three games. Like any other games that anybody wishes that Xbox or Sony would bring back from the dead? I mean, Xbox has basically came out and said we're getting Fable back. We're getting a lot of love from Xbox. I mean, there's some stuff that I would want to see. What about Knights of the Old Republic? Maybe, maybe. I definitely think Metal Gear Solid One is going to be remade by somebody. I mean, it's been rumored now for so long that somebody's got to do it. Blue Point. I think Blue Point would do really good. Yeah, I definitely would like. Yeah, if Blue Point does it, then probably definitely not going to see it on Xbox, are we? Um, who else is pretty good at making those? Maybe if Xbox contract. I don't think PlayStation owns Blue Point, do they? I thought Blue Point was still independent. I don't know if they own them. They need to make a new Splinter. Yes, they do need to make a new Splinter Cell game. This is getting so freaking irritating. David Hayter saying there's a remake in the works gives me hope. Yep, yeah, I could definitely see somebody making it. Blue Point just barely dropped Demon Souls, so and we've been hearing about this Metal Gear Solid 1 remake for a while now. So I'm hopeful that it's somebody else remaking it. That's just maybe even an Xbox team or somebody. I think they, I think, I think they changed Splinter Cell so much with Conviction and the and the other one that it kind of changed the direction the game was going. But if they went back to the older style Splinter Cells, the more stealth and the more methodical stuff, I think those games would still sell. I just don't think they would. Um, hold on, I gotta text my wife back. I just don't think they're going to bring in the money that Ubisoft wants from their creations nowadays. They seem to want to be making Ubisoft's changing everything. They're changing Assassin's Creed. I mean, I'm not mad about the Assassin's Creed things because I do like the big open worlds, but I wish they would do staggered releases, games that were modeled after the older ones, and then the big world, and then the model after the old ones. Splinter Cell. I wish they would just take the first three games and completely remake them like they're doing with Prince of Persia. We should be getting that sometime this year, hopefully too. I really do want a new Splinter Cell game. I've been thinking about that for a long time. Actually, they just keep teasing us with all this other stuff. Yeah, I wish Xbox would see if they would do like a. Well, I mean, if you remember, like the first Splinter Cell when that came out, it ran and looked way better on the Xbox, and they had to like um, screw with it a lot to get it to actually go on to the PlayStation 2. I mean, those were the days. That game looks so good. And you know what? They hold up really well in 4K on the Xbox Series X with the auto HDR as well. If you don't have those, I would suggest buying those and playing those if you have a Series X. They actually hold up really well still to this day. Um, the Xbox Series X does that 16 AF anisotropic filtering, which makes the textures even look better too. They look good. Conviction looks pretty good in 4K, and so does the other one. They actually all look pretty good. Um, I really wish they would remake the very first Assassin's Creed. That would be really really cool. I would really appreciate that. What do you guys think about Sony not having the drive open up yet on the PlayStation 5 for the SSD? I mean, to me, it's kind of annoying. Like, I wish they would hurry up and get this thing going. I'm out of space on the PlayStation 5. Probably gonna have to delete something to put that Ratchet and Clank on there. I'll probably just transfer some of the games I'm not playing right now. Probably transfer Returnal over to load it up. I really like how this live stream's going. Maybe I'll do this more often. That's a deal breaker. The SSD. The SSD and the PS5. Yeah, so with the soldered on SSD, because SSD does have a finite amount of times that we can write to it. Um, this better SSD though, because this Samsung that I got says it had the 1 terabyte says I have says it'll last 600 terabytes written. So I doubt you're going to go through that much, but that is another one of my biggest things. I'd rather buy the SSD and stick it in the PS5 and write and erase from that if I need to, than do it on my than doing it on the SSD that's soldered to my console. That really is a terrible design flaw that Sony put in there. My thoughts on it is that SSD slot, even if you don't have something that's compatible with the PlayStation 5 games, you should still be able to use that slot to put any SSD in there, any NVMe .2 M2 SSD card that you can put in there and still be able to put the PS4 games on it. Like I don't see why that's not a thing. That bay should be open. It should be unlocked. We are getting to, gosh, 7 freaking months and this thing is still not open. We've got, well, count the 7 months to the 12th, so we've got at least 20 days. I think I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be good. It's one of those twin stick shooters that, I mean, I know it's gonna be like really high fidelity and look really good. I mean, it's coming to Game Pass too, isn't it? Day one. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna play it, check it out, and see what it's like. I mean, putting it on Game Pass. Game Pass. So so let me tell you guys why I think Game Pass is sustainable. I used to manage Game Crazy back in the early 2000s. Um, and we would have people, so many people just trading in games. Like I had regular customers that would buy a brand new game and bring it back 2 days, and I'd tell them, look, man, I can only give you like $20 for it. And oh yeah, it's fine, whatever. You wouldn't believe the number of gamers out there that they would buy games, go home, try them, bring them right back. Go home, try them right back. And I worked in Game Crazy. Like we had a Hollywood Video right next door. I tell them, hey man, why don't you just rent it? It's like $5. No man, I don't want to have to deal with renting, because if I like it, then I'm gonna keep playing it, and I'm not, and I'm gonna have rental fees. And I'm like, come on, dude, come on, man. They're like, you can rent it and stuff, and it's amazing at how many people will buy games, bring them right back, and then keep doing that cycle. But with Game Pass, they pay their $15 a month. They could download all these games whenever they want. They could keep playing them, and then if they don't like them, they're not stuck with them. And if more third party developers, I mean, I know that more third party developers are going to look at the success of Outriders and MLB The Show and stuff like that, and then going forward, I think we're going to start seeing. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more games go to Game Pass, and I also think we're going to start seeing a lot more games that are not super high quality too, that are going to be filler on Game Pass. But once you get into that Xbox ecosystem with Game Pass, you're there, man. You're gonna have so much to do with Game Pass. You're not gonna know what hit you. Yeah. Just as a jab at Returnal. Oh man, I was streaming Returnal tonight. Oh my gosh, that game is just so irritating. It looks so bad that like I don't even know. I can't believe they came out for $70 for that game. And then you had every YouTuber and media outlet being like, "Oh yeah, this game's perfectly great. It looks freaking wonderful." And then it comes out and everybody's like, "Oh, 1080p." Digital Foundry comes out and says, "Oh, it's 1080p upscaled to 1440." And then everybody starts losing their crap. And I was like, "Hey man, I put my review out there and I told you I think it's worth $50. I mean, it was definitely. I mean, the medium was $50. Returnal should have been $50. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, the Ascent looks really good from what I've seen. So if you've seen like some of the newer games that have come out now, like Resident Evil, like when you're like if you get like because I sit pretty close to my TV, like maybe 2 feet, 3 feet, because that's what 4K is for. You can sit closer to them so you can see that density and stuff. The 4K on the newer games is starting to look so much more dense that oh gosh, it looks good. I mean, Mass Effect remaster. Oh my gosh, that looks so freaking good. You get on the Normandy and you're just looking around, and my gosh, it just looks so good sitting that close to it. So I really do think the Ascent is gonna look really good, and it looks so dense. I like that dense look to it. Like PlayStation 2 games and stuff where they just like look like big wide open spaces. Like I love the fact that video games are getting more dense and getting more not cluttered but more detailed. I really love that that's where the medium is going. I really appreciate that, or we'd still be playing stuff like Frogger. I'm glad we're not playing stuff like Frogger no more. 2D games so much better this way. Oh my wife texted me a minute ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this stream at this. I'm gonna probably do these maybe a couple times a week. Well, maybe on the weekend, Saturdays when I get bored. Whenever I get video game anxiety and I want to jump on and buy a game, I'll just do a live stream. Next time I will give more notice, like a half hour. I just didn't know how to actually do this, so I wanted to see how it worked. So next time I'll give more notice, like a couple days notice. I'll start putting it on Twitter and trying to advertise it, to get on there, and I'll think of some really good subjects, and I'll get some information together and stuff like that. Because this was basically I just wanted to try it and see how it worked, because I've seen a couple other YouTubers that I follow do it, and I wanted to see if it would be good. I think we had a pretty good discussion tonight. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do this more often. So with that, I will see you guys on the next one, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for showing up and talking. Have a good night, guys.